Another Bengaluru shocker. Caught on tape, sick perverts groping and molesting a woman in Kamanahalli area on New Year's Eve. The police have detained 12 men so far. 3 days since the night of horror on Bengaluru's MG Road, the police still have no leads and have made no arrests. And in Mumbai, finally a breakthrough in the sensational rape and murder case of the 24-year-old physiotherapist. A month after the incident, the police finally round up 2 suspects for questioning. Hello and welcome. You are watching The Big Story here on Magic Bricks Now. I am Krishna Kumar. Gone are the days when you cringed after paying service charge, even if you were not entirely happy with the hotel's or restaurant's service. Now, the new advisory from the government has clarified that the payment of service charge, not service tax, service charge, is optional, which means you don't need to pay the charges if you don't wish to. Hoteliers and restaurateurs are predictably opposing this move. But what do citizens think? My colleague Richa Sharma gets us this report from Maximum City, Mumbai. Take a look.
Payment of service charges at eating places and restaurants like these will be entirely a customer's call from now on. A notification was released by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs a few days back, which stated that if a consumer or a customer is not satisfied with the services given to them at a restaurant, they can certainly deny paying the service charges levied along with the bill. This has been received with a lot of criticism from the industry bodies and restaurant owners who state that they levy these service charges because for the services that they provide to the customers, and it directly goes to the staff working there. They charge anywhere between 5% to 20% right now, depending upon the restaurant and the services that they give. And bodies and industry bodies like AHAR have also stated that if a customer is not satisfied and if they don't want to pay those service charges, they are welcome to not come to those restaurants. Now we will have to wait and see if customers will be happy with this decision and if the restaurant owners will be willing and accepting of this notification or not. This is Richa Sharma for Magic Bricks Now.
Most of the restaurants, they give a lot of good service. So I don't mind paying service tax. But in some cases, I think it's really, they should not charge service tax because the service is not good, the food is not good.
You should be paying the restaurants the service charge because that's the poor people. The guys really work, they make sure your dinner is fine, they make sure you're comfortable at a restaurant. And I think it's a small thing. I don't think there's an issue with it.
Sometimes, some places, I don't know what the percentage could be. It could be sometimes 15%, 20%. It should not depend on the restaurant, it should depend on the customer. If you feel satisfied, then yes, it should be by the customer's choice.
I feel it's a good decision that the responsibility has been given to the customer. And in today's day, the customer is the king, so customer has to choose whether he is satisfied with the service or no. And depending on that, the customer will pay the service charge what he want to pay.
I think it's fantastic. It certainly enables the tourist or the customer to have the right of say in the restaurant. It also increases the service, increases the service that the restaurant provides.
All right, and to take that big story forward, we have somebody from the hotelier or restaurateur community. First up, joining us here, Mr. Ansh Seth, co-founder and director finance and administration at Brewbot Pubs, which is situated in the Andheri West region in Mumbai. Ansh, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on The Big Story on Magic Bricks. Now, a simple question to ask you. This is just an advisory from the government. This rule has always existed. Call it lack of information or ignorance on the part of the consumer. They haven't been able to, they have not come forward to exercise this right. This is a matter of clarification. The law allows the consumer to do it, right? I mean, talk to us from your perspective.
Of course, the law does allow the restaurant to levy the charge because it's not a government entitlement. It is a charge levied by the restaurant for which we do pay taxes on that additional charge that is charged to the consumer.
All right.
This being said, even though a notification has been passed, like Mr. Riaz Amlani's pointed out in the news recently, that there is already a case pending about the service tax issue with the government as well as to why on the bill, which is already there is a VAT component, a service tax is being added. Service charge, the way we see it, is for the additional service that is provided. consumers today are saying that they should have the option of choosing whether or not to pay the service charge amount. But the way we see it is we are trying to show the consumer a transparent way of working as to what they are paying for. On the
And
flip
that's
side,
because you said that at Brewbot, just to put it into perspective for the audience, Ansh says that at Brewbot, we share 80% of the service charge with our staff for the efforts put by them. And 20% is kept for breakages, which customers are not charged for separately in case of any breakages or damages. Also, in case of an unhappy customer with respect to food and beverage, we do also provide discounts, complimentary dishes and beverages, which in turn work out to more than the service charge amount charged to the customers. And that is your defense as to why at all restaurants and pubs charge a service charge, right?
that is, of course, one of the components. But like I said, it's about transparency. It's about empowering the customer to know what he's spending on, as well as the employee to know what he's earning for. By giving a higher salary to the employee, I think it makes the employee complacent. He's not concerned about growing the sales, upselling in a restaurant, which is one of the key criteria for us, which is why we add the service charge. So the employee at the restaurant is very well aware when he upsells a dish or when the sales improve in a restaurant due to the direct relation of the employee and customer interaction, he should get an additional benefit out of it, which is the reason why service charge is levied. Again, like I said, on the flip side, if consumers don't want to pay the service charge and it comes out as a mandate where service charge has to be removed from the bill, restaurants would just simply add it to the price of the dish, where a consumer would indirectly be paying it. What we're trying to do is make it a transparent system where the consumer knows the price of the product and the service charge which is additionally levied onto them.
All right, and at this stage, I have to stop and ask you a simple question. Now that this particular clarification has come out and advisory has come out from the government, if you have customers choosing not to pay service charges, are you saying that you and the restaurateur or hotelier community in general will be hiking prices of your products and services across the board?
Most probably that's what everyone would do, and I think we would also be doing that. But I think that would be a bad step, considering this is a charge levied by the restaurant. For example, today everyone's booking tickets online or movie tickets online, flight tickets, whatever it be. But there's a convenience charge that's added by these apps to every consumer at the end of the deal.
True.
The consumer has the option of not paying for it. That's not the option. He can choose not to book his ticket completely. That's a similar situation with restaurants. You're very well aware as a consumer that there's a service charge at an X percentage that's going to be levied onto the bill. And if you feel that this charge is too high, you have the option of not dining there.
True.
There is no compulsion to dine at a restaurant.
True. Nobody can force you inside a restaurant or a pub or any of these establishments. Ansh, just hold on to your thoughts, because we did get in a few voices from across the country. Let's listen to some of them that we got from Kolkata.
You're here waiting outside this restaurant to get inside. But do you know there is a difference between service tax and service charge?
I don't know. The service tax, I don't know also.
Yes.
I think service charge is for the service which they provide, and it's optional. You can pay it or you can't pay it.
But did you know it was optional?
Yeah, I know that.
Because most of the consumers are saying that, like the woman who is standing next to you, she doesn't even know what a service charge is. So basically the tip amount is mostly included in the bill, and it can range between 4% to 5 to 20%. Most of the restaurants do not even inform their consumers that this is a matter of consumers' discretion.
Correct. I came to know about it a long time back. So I think we need to be aware of all those things before we go to a restaurant. It's not only the responsibility of the restaurant, but as a consumer, we need to be responsible of it.
You're outside this restaurant, you're waiting to go inside, but do you know there is a difference between service tax and service charge?
Yeah, service tax is paid to the government, and service charge is what you pay for the service in the restaurant.
But did you know the service charge is optional?
It is optional, but yeah, most of the restaurants do take it.
Do take it, right? But do they tell you it's optional?
No.
It's almost like they ask for the tip and make you bound to pay a tip.
It is sort of like, what do you say, it is put on to you and you pay it. It's like that.
Will you now onwards, because the Consumer Affairs Ministry has suggested that it's optional, if you're not happy with the service, do not pay that service charge. Will you now reconsider before paying service charge?
Surely.
so those are the responses that we got from consumers in Kolkata. And on the big story, we have another very special guest joining us, Mr. Niranjan Shetty of the Bharatiya Janata Party, who joins us here in our Magic Krishna studios, along with Ansh Sheth, of our co-founder of Brewbot Pub in Andheri. Mr. Niranjan Shetty, thank you so much for joining us over here. A simple question. It is an advisory that's come from the government, and it's basically reinstating a rule that already exists.
Absolutely.
But won't this cause a lot of confusion?
I don't feel so there's any kind of confusion. You yourself said the directions were already there in place. Only thing now it has come up in the media that this kind of practice will be stopped. Now you have to understand, basically these are basically in the fine dining restaurants which they do charge normally, which are the service charges. Now you expect a person, once suppose he has any kind of he goes and eats into the fine dining and have his lunch or a dinner, and thereafter we charges a certain amount of 10% of the service charge. I think it is not the gulpable, right? We know that the people, when they go, they do offer the tip about that and all. So let us leave it up to the customer how much they want to offer, rather than any of our restaurants asking them to pay a certain amount of service charge.
Mr. Shetty, we were just talking to Mr. Ansh Sheth, who's the co-founder of Brewbot, and he was telling us that, see, if you do this, then what we will do is increase the price of the product or service that's on offer, increase the price on the menu in itself, and not keep it as a service charge, because keeping it as a service charge allows them to redistribute it to their own staff. And also, they say that, if there is somebody who's unhappy with the service.
Yeah, I think it is his prerogative or any of the restaurant owner to make up the charges, whatever they want to. It's up to them. You see, as far as I specifically mentioned that it is the fine dining restaurants where the price doesn't matter. So basically, stating that we would be charging more, I think it's very unfair of Mr. Ansh, who's into the hospitality arena, and to speak such kind of things, because I also be part of it, and I don't think so that such kind of an strategy should be used to, after all, you have a very good
they're saying that's the only option, because at the end of the day, they have to make a profit at the end of the day, and they charge the customers based on what their bottom lines are.
I think you should agree to one part of point, that once the customer is satisfied with the food that you are having, so he naturally keeps a certain amount of tip. But yes, I do agree that such kind of advisory should be there, and if at all it is there, it is in the larger interest of a common man. So why do we expect that we should be charging them at a forcible rate? Let the customers decide, and again the advisory is like, it is up to the customer that they have to, whether it can be, it should not be mandatory as such.
All right, Ansh, that's the question over here. Largely, this is an advisory because it's a rule that already exists. It is in the interest of the common man / consumer / customer who eventually lands up at your doorstep. And, at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of the larger populace who you would want to keep coming back to your restaurants all the time. So, which means that, do you think that that's very difficult to take coming from the hotelier community?
I think it's a little difficult to take because there are a couple of things I would like to bring out to what Mr. Shetty said. If you look at the common benefit of the common man, I think the taxes levied by the government are much higher than the service charge that's levied. So first, something that needs to be reduced is the taxes that come. Anyway, restaurants have to pay service tax and VAT, which is already a confusion in the market. Service charge, like you said, it's for the common man, I agree. But today, if you go to larger hotels, for example, 5 stars, they don't add a service charge, but the price of the same drink or the same dish is probably 3 times of what a standalone restaurant charges. So indirectly, what I'm saying is the same thing that would happen to all standalone restaurants at some point.
True.
They would have to hike up the prices and remove the service charge to keep the customer happy.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, Mr. Shetty, please go
What
ahead.
I want to say, Mr. Ansh, is that, see, the person who goes to a particular restaurant is very well aware as to what kind of restaurant is going. If it is of a first grade, if it is of a 3-star or 4-star, so he is very well aware. So let's not, confuse the customer, and you try to put it in a manner that, just because the Oberoi is charging, say, 250 rupees or 300 for a cup of tea or a pot of tea, and then we are entitled to charge that much same amount. Now try to understand the larger aspect of where the 5-star is there and where we are. So basically we should understand that when a restaurant we have a small establishment where you are also into that field, and then we are catering to those highest most, like the office goers or the people, those who want to really, those who cannot afford the 5 stars or 3 stars. So let us be in such a position where we can cater. Now here again it is an advisory where it is specifically stated that it is not mandatory, and I don't think so. One should agree to that. I don't think, very rarely, a person who eats and then thereafter does not give a tip. Basically it is not mandatory, but because he is satisfied with the food quality that is being given, apart from the ambience that is within the restaurant. So I think this is the hospitality industry, and I think he should agree to what is there. There should not be any kind of advisory.
But Mr. Shetty, I think the anguish from the hotelier community is that they're already paying a lot of taxes. That's what they're already paying a lot of taxes. Real estate in Bombay. No, one second. Real estate in a city like
jumbling.
No, real estate in a city like Mumbai is really expensive. So to put up a restaurant or a pub or a bar or any of these establishments is very expensive. And then you have service tax, and then you have VAT, and then you have a tax
all
on
the licenses,
all the licensing costs. The question here is, yes, you didn't instate this rule, but doesn't this provide room for too much complexity?
I think Han should wait for a few more months or so.
Okay.
Everything is in pipeline. Once the GST is there, all will be rationalized. And don't worry, as far as taxation is concerned, I myself have taken up the issues with the concerned finance ministry, either in the state or at the national level. I think, yes, of course, I do agree that certain hoteliers are facing, the restaurants are facing the problems that as far as related to the tax are concerned. But I think the government of the day is also considering the problems that has been faced by the hoteliers and the restaurants.
See, categorically speaking, service charge versus tips is the major concern.
Yes.
Service charge, when being levied, 90% of the time you see them not leaving a tip, a cash tip, I would say.
Yeah.
Where you don't levy a service charge, it really creates a lot of disparity between the staff, because cash tips, there's a lot of theft, a lot of people stealing away the tips, and it's not equally distributed. Whereas service charge being collected by the restaurant gets the opportunity to divide it to their employees in a much more systematic way where everyone is taken care of.
Mr. Niranjan Shetty, do you want to respond to that?
I don't agree with him, because I am into the same industry. Up to, but it is, it is the responsibility of a restaurant who employs those people, and you cannot expect that, from the consumer you take such kind of service charges and, and you distribute among that means your pay scale to the waiters or the captains are much more less. Then that means you are not following the wages.
In fact, we pay them the additional service charge only to retain them.
I think you should look at a larger aspect. Initially, this rule was in the place, but of course the advisory has come again to the fore because of the media and everything. I think we should rethink about it.
If that's the point. They're looking at only restaurants at the point, but what about apps and stuff like that who are charging you, aggregators who charge you a convenience fee when you're making a booking? Actually speaking, there's no convenience. You're doing all the bookings yourself, you're filling in all the details, and you're still paying an additional convenience fee, which in another word is a service charge.
You are allowed to take up this issue. See, you are very well allowed to take up to the wherever the forum you want to take. I will myself take you to the concerned forum. If you feel that you are unsatisfied with the approach or the advisories that come up, the hotel industry or anybody can come with us and we can represent such cases if there is some kind of disparity, if you think.
All right, I just have one question to ask Ansh at this point of. Ansh, do you think we are talking about GST on a daily basis right now? The 2-day council meeting just got over. Yes, there are issues to be ironed out. We might not meet the April 1st deadline. But do you think with the arrival of the GST, and here's hoping that it's going to happen in the year 2017, a lot of your taxation problems will go away and then this service charge issue will become irrelevant after a point?
I think in certain ways what you say is completely right. If the government is able to actually consolidate everything and make it simpler for the customer, I don't think why restaurants would stay behind to do the same for them. It's always been a service industry and we always work towards making the consumer happy.
All right, we also
that should be a motive.
All right, Mr. Niranjan Shetty, please go ahead.
No, I think that is the motto behind all the hospitality industry. As I said, I also belong to that same fraternity, and Ansh has rightly said that service is the motto. I think that should be the main motto behind it, and whatever the issues are, we can tackle that at the highest level.
All right. And now we have another very special guest joining us here on The Big Story, Mr. Mihir Desai, co-owner of Quorum Hospitality that owns the Bar Stock Exchange. Soy Kitchen, and Mr. Bauzi. A couple of them are some of my favorite establishments. Mr. Mihir Desai, thank you so much for taking time out to be this here on the big story on Magic Prashna. We have Ansh of Brewbot and Mr. Niranjan Shetty of the BJP already talking to us, and we're trying to understand this. I want to understand your viewpoint on something else. You have Ansh, who's a hotelier, saying that at the end of the day, service charge is something that we use to motivate employees. We do provide customers who are unhappy with replacements, which are way more than the service charge that they charge. Whereas Niranjan Shetty is of the opinion that at the end of the day, this is for the benefit of the common man. Why create an issue regarding this? Because what other issues you have, be it the extra expenses you incur for licensing or taxation, will go away because work is happening on that front. Where do you stand at this point in time?
I think service charge basically is, we are not against it, basically that you cannot charge it or you charge it. The only thing is that it cannot be discrimination of a customer. Because, like example, service tax. So government is charging you service tax. They are not discriminating. You have to pay it if you don't like the service. So I think so. Even this is like a service charge, which it's part of the menu. It's added to the menu, the price. So I mean, there shouldn't be any confusion on this. Like example, airport charges you airport tax. So if your flight is delayed or you're not happy with the flight, that doesn't mean the airport tax should be waived off. Like Uber and Ola are charging you convenience tax, convenience charge. So what is that?
As well.
Yeah, everyone. So why only the hospitality industry is to be targeted?
Mr. Niranjan Shetty, do you have anything to tell Mr. Mihir Desai?
Mihir has joined us a little late.
But I think the point he's making is the same thing. When a book my show is allowed to do that, when an Ola, Uber is allowed to do that.
But I told him before he could come and join us with us, we spoke, right? We spoke about to the Ansh also. We said we can take up this issue at the highest forum where can be such kind of disparity can be discussed and understood if they feel. But I think at a larger aspect they should think. While stating, he said, you cannot, the consumer or the patron cannot have the right to choose whether he can pay the service charges or not. I think the consumer and the patron has the right to decide whether if he is satisfied with the food that he has had, and thereafter whether he has to pay the service charge. He has full right, and I think it is in the interest of the common man, and you yourself also, when you must be going to the same quorum or to your best favorite restaurants, I think you should also appreciate the steps taken by the center.
All right, Mihir, do you have something to tell Mr. Niranjan Shetty?
Basically, I agree upon that it's a consumer right, it's a democratic country. The issue here is, example, if the chef himself, he comes under the service part. If he's cooking and he's the guy who serves also. So if you don't like, if he's cooked a butter chicken, you don't like his butter chicken, so that means you'll not pay for the butter chicken?
No, I think Mihir, you are getting confused. What we are discussing is about the service charges. Okay,
yeah, so service charge
on the menu card, you are mentioning about the rate of a particular item. So all the ingredients are included, all the masalas or your chef's payment or the salary is included.
Yes,
now,
Mr. Niranjan Shetty, but that's
you
the part.
Cannot expect. See, I am from the same industry, and don't get yourself confused or make the.
No, we are not confusing anyone.
You get confused. The service charge into the fine dining
service charge, we are saying, is part of the menu.
No small restaurants are charging such kind of concept. Basically, this is what happens. Somebody has gone to the court and they are not happy. And I think if these advisories are already in place, so now basically when you are saying your chef wants to come, if he has not cooked food, who's saying? I don't think so. None of the patrons have ever refused to pay you until and unless it is of a shabby.
Sir, you're getting us totally wrong. You're getting us totally wrong.
All right, Mr. Shetty, one second. Let's hear this out from Ansh and Mihir. Ansh, you go first quickly.
Like you said, it's the consumer's choice to pay or not. Similarly, for example, I am the common man. I use the road. If I find it dirty, do I not pay the municipality taxes? I don't think I'm satisfied with the way our country is kept. Is it okay if I stop paying municipality taxes from tomorrow?
All right, Mihir, your take?
Yeah, like example, as Ansh said, that if the roads are not properly well maintained and a government is charging you a toll, so that means if I think the road is not properly maintained, I should not pay toll tax.
See, what I am trying to say is, this is the experience of the previous government that you have learned from. Now this government is a different this thing.
No, we are
And
very
I
happy
think-
with the government.
No,
We are
I
not
think
against
that's
the
what I'm
government.
saying.
No, Mr.
Now
Shetty,
you are
taken to another
No, Mr.
you
Shetty,
cannot, you
Mr. Shetty,
cannot
I think
compare
this
with
is-
the roads. Now
Mr. Shetty, I think
those
it's
people-
not a
I am
political-
giving an example.
Mr. Shetty,
It's not a political
Mir and
debate.
It's not a
I would like
political
to
debate,
say-
Mr.
Gentlemen,
Niranjan.
this is not a political debate about the
Yeah,
previous
let's
party and
not
the current
debate,
government.
yeah. Yeah,
Let's say you're talking about democracy. There's not enough
Yeah,
democracy to
that's what
withdraw
I'm saying.
cash from our own
So-
ATMs.
so even the
thanks to the current government. We're not talking about that democracy, are we? That is also the customer's choice to withdraw as much money from his or her account as they
not
want to.
debate on
Where
that
is
because
democracy
that's a
over there?
different
No, that's a
issue.
different-
I have come on this channel on that same issue on a
Okay.
various times.
But since we're discussing democracy as a
Presently we are
customers,
discussing
I thought we'll
about
discuss
this.
that as
Mr.
well.
Niranjan, even the business owner is from a democratic country. I mean, come on.
No, you cannot
And even
compare
people,
what
8
Mr.
million
Mir-
people working for this
Mr.
industry are all
Mir-
from-
Mr.
Exactly.
Mir, you cannot compare the road taxes and all this.
No,
kind
it's-
of
it's
thing.
still a common man.
Example.
No, you cannot.
The airport
Now
taxes-
you are- see,
Why not?
I think both of you all should understand one thing. We are into
Okay.
the hospitality industry,
Okay.
and our motto is to serve the common
we are
man.
serving
We
people,
have
so-
been doing this
So
since years. Why such a hue and cry about it? It's a minor and minuscule
we are okay.
thing. I don't
see,
think
see,
so.
Mr.
Why
Niranjan,
did-
what
yeah.
it is that
Yeah,
even the
and
other
as
sectors,
unsaid, you
there
can
are other
increase
sectors also.
You can increase on your menu card the amount what
so
you
it
want
is.
to do.
So if it's added on the menu card.
Oh, one second. You just said
that's
it's
what
okay
I'm saying.
to add it on the menu card. You're
Before
saying
you
that's fine.
Mr. Ansh said he wants to increase in a rate of a particular item.
No,
he can increase it.
I said
harm.
if
there
it
is no
becomes a
harm.
directive
So that-
from the government that you cannot levy a service charge, everyone from the industry will just add it on to their menu prices.
Yeah.
It's a logical reaction is what he's saying, but we'll have to see how this actually plays out in real life because at the end of the day, it's an advisory from the government. Keep in mind, service charge and service tax are two separate things altogether. This is about service charge and it's an advisory clarification from the government. The rule always existed and I'm not sure how many of you watching this know the difference between service charge and service tax. Service charge is optional, service tax is compulsory.
Absolutely.
And here you have hoteliers saying that if you are not allowing us to charge a service charge, then it means that naturally the prices on the menu of the dishes or the services goes up. Whereas Niranjan Shetty, who's a part of the hoteling industry himself and is part of the ruling BJP party, says that at the end of the day, this is for the benefit of the common man. So will the common man walk into a restaurant tomorrow and demand that he does not want to pay service charge? That is there out there for the jury to decide and out there for us to live it through and figure out. But we will be keeping our eyes on this issue and see how it plays out. But for now, thank you, Mihir Desai, Mr. Niranjan Shetty and Mr. Ansh Seth, all three of you gentlemen for taking time out to be with us here on The Big Story on Magic Bricks. It's been a pleasure having you here. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.